anywhere. It's up to you, New York, New York.
How we doing, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Richie, riding solo today. It is part 2 of the Week 6 NFL preview. Also gonna speak on the happenings in the Major League Baseball playoffs as we've got another Game 5 today. But if it's gonna live up to what went down yesterday, that's gonna be some tough shoes to fill. Congratulations to the Seattle Mariners as they are headed to the American League Championship Series for the first time since 2001. 15-inning marathon game as the Mariners defeat the Detroit Tigers. Tarek Skubal, 13 Ks, phenomenal performance for him. And the Tigers had the lead with needing only about 9 outs to go in the game. But just a real nail-biting affair if you were a fan of either team. I caught the tail end of it. I didn't actually watch the game-winning run as I had just gotten involved in doing some house chores. But I'm still kind of in grieving mode of my New York Yankees departure from the playoffs. But congratulations to the Mariners. I think it's going to be quite the series against the Toronto Blue Jays. I would have to say advantage Mariners if we're talking about the rotations. As far as offensively goes, although you do have a guy who jacked 60 home runs in Cal Raleigh, and you have a guy like Julio Rodriguez, who I think is due to have a good series, and of course, Eugenio Suarez, I still think the Blue Jays have the superior lineup. And after seeing what the bullpen of the Blue Jays did against the Yankees in the deciding Game 4, and after seeing what some of their young guns did pitching-wise, um, Savage comes to mind as really the big one. I think the Blue Jays are going to win this series. I said it going in that the winner of the Blue Jays and Yankees would win the American League. They were the two best teams in the American League during the regular season. The Blue Jays won that series. Therefore, I have the Blue Jays going to the World Series. So my prediction going in, I'm taking the Blue Jays in 6 hard-fought games. I think it's going to be a hell of a series. And tonight, the Los Angeles Dodgers will find out who's going to be in their way of going to a second consecutive World Series as the Chicago Cubs travel to Milwaukee to iron out that series. Got to give the Cubs credit. They were down 2-0. They looked lifeless, particularly in Game 1. They have responded well. And I have a feeling that tonight could potentially be comparable to what we witnessed last evening. The Milwaukee Brewers have been the best team in the National League all year long, record-wise. Pretty much since May to the current, they've been on fire. But I have a weird suspicion that the Chicago Cubs are going to find a way today. I am taking for the W the Chicago Cubs 5, the Milwaukee Brewers 4. That will not be a marathon game. I got that going 9 innings. I'm taking the Cubs for the road dub, completing the 0-2 comeback and heading to Los Angeles. Sorry, John Olson. I don't have a dog in this race, but I would be pleased with either of those teams making it, and I would, of course, root for either of those teams to win. Shouts out to my guy Jeff Elder, big Cubs fan. Um, not going to sit here and say I'm pulling for either one of you. You're both my great friends. I want to see a good baseball game, but the Cubs broke their curse back in 2016. The Brewers, it's been forever for them, and a lot of good storylines in this, and they are division rivals, so I expect both managers to pull out all the stops. But give me the Cubs for the 5-4 dub today, and they will be heading to Los Angeles to take on the Dodgers for the rights to represent the National League. And although I hate to say it, because going in, I thought the Philadelphia Phillies were going to win the National League. Regardless of who wins today, I don't think either one of these teams are beating the Los Angeles Dodgers the way they're playing right now. They're finding a way to win every night. And although they have had some weaknesses, they have overcome them, particularly that bullpen. But, such depth on that Dodgers roster. And it looks like the Dodgers and the Blue Jays might be on a collision course. And it's kind of funny because a couple of years back, the Blue Jays did make a significant offer to Shohei Ohtani. So we'll see how it plays out. But I've got the Blue Jays and the Dodgers going head to head in the World Series. And I will be pulling for the Blue Jays if that's the case. I'm pulling for the Blue Jays to come out and win the World Series for one simple fact. My all-time favorite New York Yankee, number 23, Don Mattingly, is on that coaching staff. And I would love to see him finally not only be a part of a World Series, but to win it, be on the winning side of things. He has more than deserved that, given the kind of class act he was and just everything he did for the Yankee organization during some dark times. Things started getting good towards the tail end of Mattingly's career, but unfortunately, his body couldn't hold up. I would have loved to see him be a part of that 96 team, even if it was as a part-timer behind Tino Martinez. But the kind of pride that Don Mattingly had, and the logical argument that he made at the time that he had a superior glove to the person they were going to replace him with, Tino Martinez, I could understand it on every account. But they earned it. Bottom line, they earned it. And I guess there's a part of me that also feels that when you lose, you want to lose to the best team. And I'll be honest, I think the Blue Jays offer the best competition to the Los Angeles Dodgers to prevent a potential repeat. And then you're going to be talking dynasty. It's been a long time for Toronto. They went back to back in 92 and 93. I was just a teenager, like a preteen teenager, long time ago. I remember the famous Joe Carter walk-off against Mitch Wild Thing Williams. That was their second one. First one, they defeated Atlanta in 1991. But I think we're looking at a really good World Series if that comes to fruition. And I'll be honest, if Seattle gets there, that would not be a bad series either. But I just don't think that whoever wins today's game stands up to the Dodgers. But if I had to say which of the two would match up better, I'm going to go with the Cubs. But it's going to be a hell of a game, and we'll see how it plays out. And then I'll start talking about all the things the Yankees got to fix, because it wasn't all for naught. I did a little bit of a eulogy for my New York Yankees the other day. Good friend of mine is going to be going to New York, and unfortunately, there's no game to watch. So I was kind of pulling for my buddy Victor to go see a Yankee game. But there's always next year, and hopefully next year will be a better game for him to watch. Wanted to ask you guys what you thought about this. Saquon Barkley's rollout on Amazon Prime, chronicling his years in the NFL, starting from his beginnings with the New York Football Giants and ultimately the controversial free agent decision to ultimately go to the rival Philadelphia Eagles. As everyone knows, they did win the Super Bowl last year. He had his best year of his career. Some people would argue the best year of any running back in the league's history. He did rush for 2,000 yards and, kind of stuck it to the Giants, so to speak. Looking back at all of it, I understand both sides. When you have an often injured running back, it is hard to justify giving him big money when you're also trying to build the team up. Now, when I consider what the New York Giants have done over the course of the last couple of off seasons, and it's come with a lot of heat from a lot of people who feel that they don't know what they were doing. You bring in Jackson Dart, he's the toast of the town early, 2 out of 3 starts, go for W's. There's a new energy in that building. Cam Scatabo out of Arizona State, he did something that Saquon Barkley's never done. He scored 3 touchdowns rushing in 1 game. And I believe that Saquon's team and those involved with this production wanted this show to come out, thinking it would be a triumphant, maybe even easy walkthrough against the New York Giants, a team that they have owned for far too long. You got to track it back to when Shockey and Plaxico Burress left the Giants, because prior to that, those 2 guys were Eagle killers, and even go back to Tiki Barber. But for a Giant fan who's been a lifer and has seen it all, the good and the bad and the ugly, it was really beautiful to see how the team just played a complete game against their most hated rival. They've been at each other's throats since 1933. So, big performance for the New York Giants. And as I already alluded to, there is a new energy in East Rutherford, New Jersey. And while I don't have realistic expectations given the youth of this team, I will say that I truly believe that on any given day, they can play with any team in the NFL. Regardless of the imperfections of the Eagles right now, they are still the world champions defending, you know? They are still a huge favorite when they came into the season. And we're going to find out because they play in another week. After this week, they go at it again in Philly. And if the Giants could pull off a season sweep, I think you could truly say the Giants are here now. But Jackson Dart having his signature moment against the division rival, enjoying guys like Jaden Daniels and Dak Prescott as rookies who beat the Eagles. So it is a huge, huge moment for young Jackson Dart. And I think the New York Giants have officially found their franchise quarterback. Last thing on the Giants, how about Brian Burns? Tied for the sack lead 6 weeks in. Definitely a candidate for potential defensive player of the year. Very proud of the effort. So let's see if they can keep it up. But one thing that I warn fans of the Giants about, when you have a young team, there's going to be a lot of peaks and valleys. So we're going to find out if the Giants could keep up a level of consistency now that I think there is a legitimate belief in that locker room. Also, the Giants are under a bit of an investigation with the concussion protocol, as Brian Dable tried to save some face and say that he was in the wrong for jumping into the tent. And I understand these are procedures. No fan wants to see their franchise quarterback potentially not coming back. But the NFL is on the Giants' ass to make sure that they did everything right in that situation. And after the nightmare that happened with Tua Tagovailoa, this stuff has to be taken a little more serious. And I'll be honest, for a guy who's been coaching the Giants since 22, pretty immature on Dable's part. I'm just happy Dart's all right. Yeah, don't worry, Vic. They're going to be better next year. They're getting back their best pitcher, and I'm sure there's going to be a couple of things that ownership and general manager Brian Cashman are going to handle. So might be a blessing in disguise. Who knows? Maybe you'll see me out there too. All right, we're going to get to the games. Yeah, I already did half of these a couple of nights ago. We got the New England Patriots at 3-2, traveling to a place that is very special to them. The Patriots, as a huge underdog back in the 2001 2002 season, defeated the greatest show on turf Los Angeles Rams in this city, New Orleans. They were huge underdogs. And, their defense studded out. I don't think the world knew who Tom Brady truly was yet. But after 6 more of those Lombardi hoists, we know who he is now. New England Patriots playing good brand of football right now. They're playing stingy defense. They're running the ball well. And Drake May just seems to continue to get this invaluable experience week in and week out. As the Saints go, they beat the Giants this week. Giants had 2 games this week. They beat the Eagles, but lost to the Saints in a self-inflicted game where you just were like, what else are they going to do wrong? But, on any given Sunday, anyone can beat anyone if you're turning the ball over. And the Saints definitely are going to play with some tenacity, especially when they're in front of their crowd. They have some great fans. But I like the road team here. I think the New England Patriots are going to control the time of possession. And I also like the New England Patriots to win the turnover battle. I just don't see the Saints winning 2 games in a week. I don't see it happening in the short week. I don't. Uh, you know, this is a team that I predicted to be the absolute worst in the NFL, which is a little embarrassing that my guys lost to them. But the New England Patriots are trending upward, and they just beat the Buffalo Bills on prime time, and they have a legitimate shot to win this division, guys. I picked them to be a potential bubble wild card team, maybe right around 7, and if they missed, right around 8. But I definitely think the New England Patriots can jump to 4-2 and really start looking at the second half of the season coming up soon. And who knows, maybe even make a deadline deal to improve the roster. I like this Patriot team right now. I like what Mike Vrabel's doing. He's bringing a winning culture back over there. We've got the Cleveland Browns heading to Pittsburgh. 1-4 are the Browns, but I don't think that record is indicative of their efforts. Browns play hard, and they do have one of the better defenses in the National Football League. Pittsburgh Steelers gotta prevent the rustiness here. They were overseas. They got a dub against the Vikings in a hard-fought game. Quarterback Aaron Rodgers definitely looking better than he did the last 2 years for the Jets, as I personally think he just has a better team around him. The Steelers, to a level, have been underachieving against the run, and that's something that they're going to have to shore up because Keyshawn Judkins is definitely going to bring it to them and has the potential to, you know, keep the Browns in the game because of that. Side note that could be of interest to some, Shador Sanders, after the Joe Flacco trade, jumps to number 2 on the depth chart. So you have 2 rookies as your 1 and 2. You got Dylan Gabriel out of Oregon, who's starting. You got Shador Sanders out of Colorado, who is now the backup. So if Gabriel gets dinged up, Shador is going to be playing. Shador Sanders made some headlines going to a local high school game in Ohio. I think that's kind of cool. Um, what do I think about Shador before I actually talk about the game? I think he has to mature, man. I think when you come in and given the family of NFL royalty, because Deion Sanders is that, one of the greatest to ever do it, comes with a lot of pressure. And I think Shador, whether it's real or not, does come off as a little bit of too entitled. And, going to a place like Cleveland will humble you quick. You could just ask Odell Beckham about that. But I expect a close game here. I think Joe Flacco out, Shador in, Dylan Gabriel gets his second start. This is a divisional game. And, the Steelers could get out of the gates a little slow. They did have a week off, or it could be the opposite, where the week did them good. It's always hard to predict what a bye week will produce. As I already alluded to, the Steelers have got to be better against the run. If they can keep the run game honest of Cleveland and force Dylan Gabriel to have to throw more than the game script suggests, then I like the Steelers to win and win handily. But I'm going to keep it close here. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers 23. Give me the Cleveland Browns 17. I got a 1-score game, and I wouldn't be completely shocked if in the fourth quarter it's even closer than that. I think Judkins gives them a chance every week. And the biggest thing that he's done in his rookie campaign, albeit it started late, is that he's making people forget about Nick Chubb. And that is rather impressive for the rookie. Do I have to talk about this game? The Tennessee Titans traveling to the Las Vegas Raiders. This has the potential to be a genuine snooze fest. I'm looking for something exciting to pitch here. Number 1 overall pick, Cam Ward, has a legitimate shot to win 2 games in a row. He's going to win 2 games in a row. I'll say it. The Raiders are really bad, guys. And Pete Carroll deserves a better situation, and I'm no Pete Carroll fan. Give me the Tennessee Titans in an ugly one, 19-13. 19-13, and I don't expect the offenses to shine here. I don't. No Brock Bowers for the Raiders is not a good thing. If Ashton Genty can get bottled up here, this can be a low-scoring game like I'm forecasting. I still think Genty goes for about 50 or 60 yards. I don't think he has a bust-out game. Tennessee low-key competes. They just do not have enough around there to consistently win games right now. But Cam Ward, week in and week out, I see a growth in him. And I think he gets his second W of the season. And I'm sure some Tennessee fans might be annoyed with that because I imagine that they would like to have the number one pick in their sights. But the Raiders are just all kinds of bad right now. And I don't know what's going on over there, but I expected a lot more. Who's Nick Chubb? That's my mama. Nick Chubb, mom, was a guy that the Giants could have drafted the year that Saquon Barkley came out, and we could have got an interior lineman out of Notre Dame that could have changed the franchise's fortunes early on. His name is Quentin Nelson. Now he's actually protecting Daniel Jones in Indy. One of the things about the Saquon draft that a lot of people get annoyed about is that it's kind of a cardinal rule that you don't take a running back so early in the draft, at least not in these times. Now, Saquon, while I admit, has shown that he is, on some metrics, a generational talent, similar to his idol Barry Sanders. I don't think it was the best value for the Giants to get him that high, particularly when you had the O-line issues you had. Quentin Nelson could have shored up a decent amount of that going back to that draft, and they would have had Nick Chubb in round 2, who has had a comparable career to Saquon Barkley. Not as explosive, but a comparable career. And they both are injury riddled. Chubb is currently in Houston right now. All right. There is no such thing as a dumb question. I appreciate when they come in. Love sharing any info that anyone wants to know about. Los Angeles Rams at 3-2 are traveling to Baltimore to take on the 1-4 Ravens. No Lamar, no chance he will not be suiting up. Cooper Rush is going to be in for a long day when you consider that fierce Los Angeles Rams front seven. This is a Rams team that should have a better record right now, but they have in consecutive games let two teams off the hook. The Philadelphia Eagles as well as the San Francisco 49ers. Sean McVay is a hell of a coach. And I'm not necessarily going against him for trying to get that extra hard yard with Kyron Williams, the Notre Dame product. But I do believe that the Ravens team is like borderline mailing it in for the year, which could be dangerous for the rest of the league. Because if the Ravens are picking in the top 5, top 10, given that this is a team that's consistently in the playoffs, they could have a quick bounce back. But, you know, it's still early enough in the year where when Lamar comes back, who is a perennial MVP candidate, things could turn around. But the Ravens have bigger problems than just Lamar's injury. Their defense is terrible. Bottom 5 in the league right now. And it's just hard to believe. You know, and this is a team that 2 years ago was in the AFC title game. Last year was a Mark Andrews catch, possibly away from the AFC championship. This is a team that basically, since Lamar has been there, as long as Lamar is healthy, has always been a Super Bowl contender. Of course, Lamar has not played in a Super Bowl yet, nor has Josh Allen. So it will be interesting to see if there's any fight in these Ravens, but the Rams are too talented of a team, and there is no way the Rams are going to drop 3 in a row. I think this could be ugly early. Give me the Rams 34. Give me the Ravens 13. I think they're going to take them behind the woodshed and whip them. It's going to be ugly. Mike Zappi